Welcome to the Aceman, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
And thank you for joining us. Thank you for downloading us. Thank you for subscribing. We appreciate it so very much. And if you have a moment, please give us that 5-star written review wherever you download your podcast. It's a great way to help the podcast. If you want to help us out another way, tell a friend. We all learn about podcasts from our friends' recommendations, and that's a way you can help us out by recommending us to a friend.
And the last way, if you really enjoy the show, is to go to our Patreon page and become a patron. And that is at www.patreon.com/behindthefunny. And what that will get you, it's one simple giving level, $5 a month. That will get you a t-shirt or a mug, some sort of merchandise, as well as unlocking bonus content that only our patrons can access.
Thank you so much for supporting us. If you want to reach out, you got a question for us, you got a comment, anything, please send us an email at behindthefunnypod@gmail.com.
And now, enjoy the show.
Be careful. He's
and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end.
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
Can't say we're coked out of our mind, but we are enjoying some fine Kentucky bourbon.
Why do you sound like this?
Because we're both
Sit by the fire and
enjoy
curl
some
up and
fun.
enjoy some Behind the Funny.
That's right. Welcome to Book Talk. With
Speaking
Ace
of
and
books,
Scott. That's right. My buddy,
let's plug it.
My buddy
not?
Ace Aceto over here is a published author. Congratulations,
Please.
buddy.
Thank you, sir.
This
what
is-
a way to end 2022.
It's a
know?
congrats, man.
Thank you,
Great
man.
book. In all seriousness, this has been something that he has worked on for a while, and he got together with a great illustrator,
Yes.
Jonathan Izzard. I
Yep.
wanted to say it correctly. Put together a children's book. Maddie Loses a Tooth, available on Amazon. If any of you out there want to grab a copy, it is a great book for kids that are at the age where they're getting ready to lose a tooth, and you're discussing the tooth fairy with them. It's a great story, and you can describe it better about empowering children to, self-discovery and looking into something on their own.
You know, it's funny because when I wrote it, I had an idea in mind about, sharing this funny story about something that actually happened to me. So
Right, a real story.
When my daughter Maddie lost her tooth, it was one of her front teeth. She lost it, and she had all these questions for the tooth fairy, and I just kept saying, I don't know, Maddie, you'd have to ask the tooth fairy. Not to brush her off, but I just, I didn't know a lot of the answers she was asking, the questions that she was asking. So I just kept saying, I don't know, Maddie, you'd have to ask her. And Maddie is a very inquisitive girl. She's very, very strong-minded. And so she was going to find those answers out. So she wrote out a bunch of index cards that night and put them. By the time I got to to do the job, not only did I have to take care of the normal duties,
you had to answer questions.
I had to answer interview questions, and there were like 18 index cards all around her bed. She had her stuffed animals holding it, and it was like, how old are you? Were you ever human? All these crazy things. And I posted it on Facebook as a joke, and someone was like, oh my God, that'd make a cute children's book. And then when I was talking to our friend Dana Nathanson, her sister, who owns Bananagrams, who's the CEO of Bananagrams, amazing game if you're not familiar with it, she said it'd be really cute if you had cards at the end for kids to ask their own questions.
Yep.
And so I had this idea, but I will say what makes it all really, really fulfilling is the people that have reached out to me since getting the book and saying, I love how you're teaching empowerment. I love how you're teaching kids how to get answers on their own.
Right.
I love the fact that there's cards at the end of the book for kids to find their own answers. So
That's what I loved about the
Yeah.
idea when you told me about that, is it's a great story. And then at the end, you have the cards for the children that hear the story
Yeah.
to ask their own questions.
Right.
For their, for them to dive into this and to participate in their own story with the
Exactly.
Tooth Fairy. So that is such a cool part of the book.
Yeah, thanks.
that makes it, second level with it. So,
But like I said, the fact that I knew what I wanted the intention to be, but to hear it unaided, like I didn't have to ask people anything. They've just told me,
Right,
oh my God,
right.
I love this, I love that, and I'm like, all right, that it did the job,
and
you know?
you had the story obviously, but
Right.
Jonathan's illustrations
He did an amazing
brought it
job.
to life.
Yeah.
Because you could hear the story, and then his illustrations helps you see the story,
Right.
And you put the two together, now it's alive.
But that's one of the things when I met with the publisher and we were talking about picking an illustrator, they said, keep in mind, illustrations are going to tell the other half of the story that the words don't say.
Right.
Because for a children's book, especially the age group that I'm looking at, 3 to 10, you don't want to have more than 530 words. So you can't get really deep into a story. You have to have the pictures tell the story too
Right.
at that age.
Right.
So I really learned a lot about writing books and about writing books for that age group, and listen, folks, it's 500 words. I'm not writing Harry Potter, novels, but I was very proud of the way that Jonathan and I worked very well together, and he took some of my words and really put them, made them come to life,
Right.
and tell the rest of the story. And for those that don't know, Jonathan is not only an illustrator, but he is also the son of the Mulherns,
Yes.
who you've heard on the podcast before. So Carla, one of my good friends from college, and our buddy Brian Mulhern, Jonathan's his stepson, Carla's son, and he did an amazing job.
It looks great.
Yeah,
It looks
thank
great.
you.
So if you have a young child that's between the ages of 3 and 10, this is a great book. Make a great birthday present. Make a great
Christmas
present.
We're at the end of the year.
Yeah, right now is Christmas, but down the road for birthdays, Easter,
Anything.
just anytime,
Yeah.
anytime. Make a great gift that you can give, and I will put the link for the book in the
Thanks.
show notes. But just type in "Maddie Loses a Tooth" in Amazon, and it will come up.
and it's actually on BarnesandNoble.com as well.
Yeah. Barnes and Noble as well. So
you
nice.
can get it either place.
Nice. So
And if
check
you-
that out.
And if you do enjoy it, please do me a favor. Go on Amazon or Barnes and Noble and give it a rating, because just like the podcast,
It helps.
it helps. When you
It
get
helps move 'em
ratings,
up.
it really, really helps.
So that's why tonight we are enjoying a nice pour
Yes.
of Weller, the
It is
original
delicious.
weeded bourbon.
wheat.
That's what I said. Weeded bourbon.
It's wheated bourbon.
Why are you saying it like that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Say weeded.
Weeded.
Say weeded bourbon.
Wheated bourbon. What's the problem, Brian?
But Weller Special Reserve bourbon tonight. It is at the holidays. We like to get each other a nice bourbon, and then we sit and drink it together.
And I have a nice bottle of Jefferson's Reserve, very rare twin oak custom barrel that will be breaking out over the next few episodes as well.
Yes.
So, as you know, if you've been a fan of the podcast, you know that at the end of the year, every year, we like to do some special shows where we do Best of Funny Bad Gigs, which we're going to be doing tonight. We do Best of Scottober, because honestly, those 4 shows
We pack a lot in 4 shows.
pack so much great
And-
stuff in those.
And
Yeah.
every year, Mr. Acecito ups his game with our guests
Yes.
and with what we bring to the table with our paranormal
activities. Yeah.
of the month. So, and this year was no exception to that. So we'll have the best of Scott-tober, and then of course just the best of the year.
Yeah.
Some great moments that we've had, because it's a fun time for us to sit and look back at the year and some of the great guests we've had and some of the great moments. And you know us, we love the funny bad gig moments. So that's what we're going to bring you here tonight. Is just sit back, relax, and most of them are absolutely hilarious. Some of the guys get a little serious, which makes us laugh even harder, at their pain, because that's what comedians do.
Oh, we love it. Yeah, we love when other comics and friends are in pain.
We sit and watch them and laugh at them, and then later on they get to laugh with us. So.
And listen, now that I am a published author, we will work on this friggin' book.
Now that you know that you've...
Well, I know the way to do it. I
Right.
know how to get it published and stuff like that. So I know we've been talking about it for a couple of years, but it does take a lot of time. We both do comedy full time. We do this podcast every week, and we both work full-time day jobs. So it has been a challenge, but, I think 2023 will be the year that we finally pulled a
we got a
Funny
focus.
Bad Gigs book together. Because we really want to share all of these things.
And every
at
comic
once.
I've talked to about it say that would be a great book. That would be hilarious. I would love to read that.
Yeah.
Comics we've had on the show, like, I'd love to have my story out there and everything.
Exactly.
Because we all love those stories.
Right.
And guests that I've talked to love them too. So that's why we have this episode. I know you guys are going to enjoy this, because we're going to pick the best of the best from this year, and we've had some really good ones. So I guess sit back, relax, and laugh at our pain.
Yes. Laugh at the funny bad gigs of 2022.
Well, I don't know if this is a one-up. Two of them immediately came to mind when you would.
All right.
All right. So the first one was a corporate gig.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was this guy had seen me at something. He goes, "Hey, I got this company, and we're doing this retreat, and we'd love to have you do a half hour at the end of after the dinner."
Mm-hmm.
Great, and those I did a lot of those back in the day, and this is many years ago, but I vividly remember this when I get there, and he goes, "All right, so I got one guy who's going to speak before you, and then you," and I go, "Okay, great." And so I'm sitting there, and I'm getting ready to listen to the guy. The guy is a Vietnam vet. He is a motivational speaker. And
how many limbs had he lost?
No, he had spent 2 years like McCain. I think he was in the same kind of deal. He spent 2 years in a tiger cage.
He was a POW?
A POW getting beaten, and he's telling these stories about how he wanted to kill himself, but he couldn't because he didn't have that, and it was there were 300 people. They were crying.
Right.
I was crying.
You were crying, right?
I was.
For two reasons. His story and you going, I got to follow this
No.
shit.
At this point, I didn't even think about me. I could care less about me. I was like, this guy is this is and he's talking about his wife and if he'll ever get to see her again. And there's a guy in another cage next to him. And if they talk, they get beaten. So they worked out Morse code so they could tap their fingers in the dirt, right?
Wow.
And I mean, just tears are coming, and so the guy goes up and he goes, "How about it for," and standing and
right.
Absolutely.
And the guy goes, "All right, we're gonna lighten things up now. We got a really funny comedian." Right? And I am in the back literally like this going, "No, I'm not." I'm
Take
like,
an
"No."
intermission. Let him go to the bathroom. Give him a bathroom break.
No, forget it. I'm going home. There's no way I'm doing
I don't
this
need
kid.
the money.
Right. So he introduces me and I literally go up on stage and I go, I are you kidding me? And they're like, everyone's staring at me like, and they're wiping the tears. I go,
Yeah, right.
Going,
yeah.
That man's a hero. What? I'm going to tell you now the story about how I dropped my deodorant and I had to pick it up with a fork. I mean, how this isn't going to work? How are we going to? And I'm actually saying this. I go, this isn't going to work. How are we going to do this? This is the stupidest. And I just go into this rant. I go, look, God bless that man. But your boss, the man that hired me to go on after him, he's an idiot. And they start laughing and I'm coming out of it. And I go,
Yeah.
I got maybe I did maybe 10 minutes and I got 4 or 5 laughs out of them. And I go, you guys, God bless you all. And
Go drink
I
at the
walk
bar,
up the
have a
stage
good night.
and the guy's like, hey man, I'm really sorry about that. I go, don't worry about it. And he goes, well, I go, no, I don't want the money. I go, give it to the guy in front of me. Give it to that guy. I don't want the money. And I got in my car and I drove home and the guy ended up sending me the check.
Yeah.
But that's one. And then I'll tell you this other one really quickly. This is one of my favorite stories of bombing. I was way too inexperienced to be doing this show. My brother was the head bouncer at a venue called the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom, which is about 5 miles down the street here from where I live now.
Right.
And we grew up here. My brother was a head bouncer. All my buddies were bouncers. I've seen probably 200 shows at the casino. It's home. When I was a little kid, this will put a date to it. I used to ride my bike down there and sit on the back steps to listen to Huey Lewis. Right.
Right.
That's the casino ballroom. And anyway, I talked my way into becoming an opening act there and weaseled my way into opening for, I think it was 38 Special. I ended up doing like 3 or 4 of them.
Yep.
But I think this one was 38 Special. And I'm on stage and I'm bombing. Like no one's listening. Everyone's getting beers. You know, it's
a music. It's opening for a music act.
It's a hell gig, and I'm way too inexperienced to know how to pull this off.
Yeah.
And so I got to do 20 minutes, and I'm about 12 minutes into it, and this guy right up front stands up, and he's like, 2-3 rows back, and he goes, "You suck," and he takes a plastic table tent thing, with the drink specials.
Yeah.
And he throws it, and it whizzes right by my ear. Just misses me, right? And I go, and the whole crowd goes, and I go, well, you know what, sir? Where are you? Right there? I go, you're 100% right, buddy. I do suck. I'm horrible. I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And some people go, yeah.
It's the only applause you got, right?
Yeah. And I go, but here's the bad news for you. My little brother is the head bouncer of this establishment, and you are about to hit steps 12, 9, 651, and Ocean Boulevard. And on command, my brother and my best friend Mike, they grabbed this guy and they ran him over to the stairs, and that's how they used to do it down there back in the day.
Yep.
And literally, boom. Place goes silent. I look at my watch and go, got 9 minutes left. Anybody else want to tell me how I'm doing?
That's awesome. That is awesome.
That's a great way to end your set.
The funniest bad bomb I had was I was doing a gig at a nursing home, which is just a great start.
I don't know how it could be funny and bad at the same time.
You've already set it up perfectly.
Yeah.
Free show, volunteering my
Brian
time,
Vincent,
being being a good guy, supporting the senior citizens. Shout out to seniors.
I don't think they know how to listen to a podcast.
They're all sleeping
They're
already.
sleeping right now.
Bed by 9 p.m. So gig at a nursing home
In their sailor captain uniforms.
Yes.
This booker did a bunch of nursing homes for free. I don't know why he thought.
How is that a equitable situation?
I don't know why.
Yeah, right.
I don't know why.
I'm going to make a fortune.
Yeah,
I got a great idea.
I don't know why it happens, but I was like, I've never done a nursing home before. I'm sure it's going to be terrible, but hey, why not?
It's called growth.
Exactly. So I go in, and the show is awful.
Surprising.
What happened? What made it awful? Let's delve into this.
Comedy, a lot of it is about relatability. And when you live in a nursing home, and I don't live in a nursing home and am living my life, I can't really relate to you as people. You just don't get my references. You're old. You're in a nursing home.
And you're living with your parents, so they don't get it.
Not anymore.
At the time you were.
At the time, yes. Okay,
all right.
okay.
I'm not just.
And Anne Frank didn't live there, so
that's right.
Okay.
that one went
Fair
over
enough.
their heads.
Fair enough.
Hey.
And So yeah, they did not get my they didn't get my references, and I pulled out all the stops. I tried everything I had, and nothing was working. So I switched to the dirtier stuff, which
is always a good.
Yeah.
That's always a good choice in a nursing home.
At that point, why not? It's going terribly already.
We might as well really piss them off.
Yeah, I might as well swear and do something for myself. And
he didn't have any Sophie Tucker jokes.
I did not. Not a single one.
No.
And so I finished the set. It goes terribly, and I leave because I don't want to be there anymore. Surrounded by these elderly folks who don't have much time left, and I've made what little time they have left worse
a
by
waste.
being there. So I walked a few of the audience, and I say walked because I wheeled. A couple of them can walk.
There's a new reference. I wheeled a few
of the audience.
few of them
Members
can
of the
walk.
audience.
And as I'm walking out, I pass this gaggle of elderly women.
The fact that you use the term gaggle tells me
use it for geese
down.
as well. It's also used for elderly women.
Yes.
So there's a gaggle of elderly women, and as I'm passing by them and go out the door, I just hear one of them say, "That was a disgrace."
That's almost a compliment.
You should use that in your compliment. You should use that in your credit.
Yeah.
James Firth is a disgrace.
And it was so bad that I thought it was great. I was like, that was a terrible experience, but that was so, awful that way you said that now it's funny and I like it.
It made it good, right? It made it acceptable. That's awesome.
Thank you. Now you want my crazy bad gig
Yes,
story.
I want to hear the bad gig.
The funny bad gig
funny
story.
bad
So
gig.
my funny bad gig story
All right.
only happens because Scott Higgins took the gig. Fucking Labor
Let's
Day.
shit on Scott.
Fucking
Yes.
Labor Day.
Recently?
Yes.
Oh, is this the pool party?
Parada called this guy. And I was like, John, I have a cookout that weekend. I can't do that show. So when
Dude,
I listened to you
could
tell your
next
crazy
year.
bad gig story, I was like, thank God.
Dude, that was fucking brutal.
He stood on a chair in his living room in his fucking Celtic shirt and said, "I'm glad I didn't
That
do it."
is the smartest decision you have ever made
He's
in
like-
comedy.
He's like, it's 2 hours away.
Dude.
It's an outdoor party. And listen, your what are you the 10 things 10 bad gig things are bad gigs?
Yeah, you know it's going to be
we
a
hit
bad
8
gig
of them
when.
that night.
Oh,
Yeah.
We
listen,
hit 8 of them
I
that
bet
night.
you guys are missing the biggest one. It's sunlight.
Yes, it's daytime.
Anytime
Yeah.
anybody wants to do a show and it's daylight,
Dude,
it's
yeah.
like this is going to fucking suck.
We didn't have sunlight because it was fucking raining. But they stayed in the pool anyway.
And as
They were
Christopher
wet.
Walken would say, fucking rain.
Fucking rain.
Yes. So thank you for taking my crazy bad
That's
gig
awesome.
story. But I would say I also did a show for Doug Key down in Newport.
Yep.
And I do a lot of crowd work. So I was doing crowd work, and this guy had red hair, beard, and he was fucking hammered. And I was like, holy shit, this is what Santa does when it's not Christmas season, right? Yeah. And this guy fucking threw a Heineken at me.
Oh my God. Are you kidding?
And I had no idea, right? You're on stage. You can't
You don't
see.
know what's going to happen. All of a sudden,
Right.
out of the darkness comes a Heineken
Boom.
bottle.
He fucking hammered, right? And I don't think he was throwing it at me. Doug had a
He just
television.
wanted to throw it.
Doug had a television with your name on it, like in
Did
the
they hit
back
the
on this-
television?
and he fucking threw it at the TV, and the fucking bottle smashed. And you want to talk about, it's a bad gig? I love you, Doug. But these people were sitting in white plastic chairs, like those lawn chairs. I'm like, I'd be fucking throwing shit too if Doug had me in that shitty chair for 2 hours.
It came out of those big plastic stamps.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So those are my stories for you guys that I've been prepping for.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
dude, I love that we're connected on that one.
yeah.
All right, I think I got one.
All right.
I think I have one.
I
You've
think-
been doing comedy for.
Anyone who's
12
been doing
years?
it more
I think
than
I have
6
one.
months has.
If you've been
on.
doing it more than 12 months, you have
Yeah.
one.
I have a questionable memory.
Okay.
So there's I've had I remember I did a show where there was like a 6-foot gap between the stage and the back of the room, and people were like just using it as an aisle. So I've definitely been a victim of poor comedy setups.
Yeah, we talk about those all the time.
But all right, so me and you guys know Sean Carter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just reached out to him.
Oh, good. He's in Tennessee, right?
Yes.
He's in Tennessee. I just actually reached out to him
He's got his own club in Tennessee.
I asked him if he wanted to be on. I'd love to talk to him about the transition of
being
a Boston comic
I would love to hear that.
moving down to Tennessee and opening a club. Yeah.
And then Mike Fahey.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Mike, he must be really good at gig salad or something. Because he
gets a lot of shitty.
He gets a lot of shitty gigs. But this was years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. This was like,
Don't try to qualify it. A shitty gig's a shitty gig.
I wasn't married.
Okay.
So it was at least 4 years ago. I think I was going through a breakup actually. So this might have been 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Mike sends me a message. He's like, I got this gig. It's down in Seekonk. It's going to be me, you, and Sean, and it's X amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all going to carpool. Like, great. Like, what is it? He goes, we're going to be announcing at the Seekonk Speedway.
It already sounds bad.
During the demolition derby.
Not even during an
that would have a full crowd at least.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just during one of the races.
It was during a legitimate race.
Oh my god.
We were
First race gig we've had.
Mm-hmm.
we get we go in, we explain to the gate people who we are, because there's no credentials being emailed to anybody.
I'm the talent.
Yeah,
big fucking deal.
Exactly. So somebody he's up there at the production booth, go there. So we got him to the booth, knock on the door, and there's a legit production team,
an announcer,
and
shit like that. Yeah,
and once he cut the mic, whatever, and was like, all right, guys, just do some color commentary. I'm gonna do the play-by-play announcements, and gave us headphones, told us.
So it wasn't even really a show. It was they literally
you were announcing during the race.
3 comics to be color commentators.
Exactly.
What could go wrong?
So let's see. When did we get fired? What lap was it?
Was it a single digit or double digit lap?
There was one car that had a Confederate flag, and this was before, you
got to narrow it down more than that at a racetrack.
Exactly. Yeah, right. But this was before that, was
seen as
as
racist or
I mean it's always
thing.
been seen as racist, but
right.
But it wasn't as a pronounced issue as it is now.
We all grew up on Dukes of Hazzard, and it was perfectly acceptable that the General E. Lee had the Confederate flag on it. We didn't think anything of it. We just thought, oh, that's a flag from the South,
right?
And I made a joke about there's the Republican car, or something like that.
Yeah.
And the guy again, he cups the mic and gives me a no. And I wish I could remember exactly what the other guys were saying.
Yeah.
But Mike, at one point, Mike was just not there anymore.
Yeah.
And he
deserted you.
He was like, fuck this. No, I got nothing to add that's not going to be racist.
He was dealing with getting fired.
Oh.
So he came back and he was like, all right, guys, we have to go. And we have to go now. So
for our own security.
So we just, and so Sean and I just threw our backpacks on and but apparently there was booze, and because you couldn't really hear too much of the audience with the loud engines and everything.
Right.
But there was.
So when you're saying booze, people were booing you.
People were booing
I thought you meant there was booze whiskey or something that involved. No, they were booing.
We got some booze. Yeah.
Anyway. Let me get into this. So I'm working in South Bend, Indiana, right by Notre Dame, right? So it's this strip mall. This club is in the strip mall. Yeah. It probably used to be a 7-Eleven or whatever.
Yeah.
And by the way, strip mall, there was a while I didn't know the difference between strip mall and strip club.
Very different.
I
Very
remember I was at my friend's house one time and his mother.
He's at a 7-Eleven tipping the goddamn. Yeah, right.
I'm at my friend's house and his mother goes, I'm going to be back. I have to run down the strip mall. I was like,
The what?
Did your mom have a second job?
What did your mom do?
So, anyway, so it's this old strip mall. And this hole in the wall club, and you walk in, and it's like this. It's just unfinished. There's cement floors. The stage is plywood with 2x4s, unfinished. There's 2 cinder blocks on the stage. So I go in there, and the tables are all banquet tables. All right?
Yep.
Now, in this club, in Indiana at the time, apparently, I don't know if it's still true, but it was legal to sell Everclear.
Oh, really?
It's 190. If you don't know, it's
190
190 proof.
Like pure grain alcohol.
Pure grain alcohol.
Pure grain alcohol.
And they were smart enough to sell it in these little NyQuil plastic shot glasses.
Oh, perfect.
Right? So they wouldn't have to worry about broken glass, I'm sure. So I'm on stage, and the front table's a bunch of Notre Dame students, and they are out of their mind drunk. And and I just saw the bartender just put down a round of Everclear. And at the time, you could still smoke indoors, right?
Yeah.
There's this kid sitting at the table, and he's playing with his Bic lighter. And I'm on stage, and I can see this happen. I see him look at his Bic. I see him look at the shot.
Oh, no.
He looks at his Bic. He looks at the shot. He lights a shot.
Yeah.
Right? The shot gets on fire, melts the cup, goes all over the table, flames.
Catches to everything.
All over the table, and all of the other Everclears now melting and catching on fire. The flames are like this high. Right? This is the front. This is in front of me.
In front of and you're on stage.
I'm on stage.
And you're the feature.
I think it was the feature. Yeah. So I'm on stage, and this happens. And these Notre Dame students, they're so drunk. This was their survival instinct.
Sit back and watch the fire.
That was that's as much as they had. So
yeah.
Now I'm on, and at this point now I don't know what's my responsibility.
Right.
Do I get everybody in a single file line?
Right.
Last one out close the window.
Yeah, right.
While I'm pondering this, the bartender just casually hops over the bar, grabs a fire extinguisher, comes over. I'm covered
in powder.
With the yellow powder. The Notre Dame students
are still sitting back.
They're sitting back, but now they go back to the table.
Oh, okay.
And now they're just looking at me. The bartender comes and brings them a fresh round.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
I have 15 minutes left.
Clearly.
I have to.
They didn't need the second round.
No, they did not need. They didn't need the first one. So I had to do 15 minutes. There was no going back to material at that point. Right. I just had to talk about the situation for 15 minutes because I wanted to get paid.
Wow.
So that was.
You mean you didn't do your Tony Montana impression? Okay. Cockroach.
So that was a good one. My favorite of all time.
Yeah, this isn't even that funny to me. I don't even think but it's just, you're asking, this is coming off my head.
Yeah.
I was auditioning for JFL New Faces.
Yep.
And the first year I auditioned, it was in a New York Comedy Club, and I had a great set. And, a couple of headliners at the time came up to me and they're like, dude, great set of the night. And I was like, great, tickets punched. Nothing I can do. You know what I mean? Like I did the best I could possibly do.
What I could do.
There's nothing I can do. And then I didn't get it. And then my auditions from then on proceeded to get worse and worse. just the seeds of self-doubt just started fucking creeping in,
Yeah.
And the last one I did, I was at the Creek in the Cave. And I remember, and there was like barely any people there. It was like just for industry. And I remember that my throat, as I started to bomb, I could feel it. And my throat just kept getting like drier and drier.
That's
and
the word.
And I could feel my fucking voice getting smaller and smaller as I got toward the finish, right? And I finally hung up the mic. And then my manager at the time goes, "What the fuck happened?" He goes, "It sounded like you were shrinking up there."
It's like the old Bugs Bunny cartoons when they would pour alum on their lips and all this shit. Like, so anyway.
Our Fred Flintstone in the chair. When he's
Exactly. Yeah, when he gets smaller and smaller.
And then, like, you do these auditions because you want a shot, and it's supposed to go on to propel you to bigger things. I lost an agent that night. I got a phone call from my agent in LA that was like, "Hey, man, it's not working out." Like,
Oh my God.
about it so quickly.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think the last time I was here, I talked about the oil rig guys.
I think you did. I
Okay.
think that was the one that you told.
I had this other one that was
okay.
It was so stupid.
I already like
He's
it.
rubbing his
I
head
already
for those
like
that
it.
are watching,
He
that are
rubbed his
listening
head
on
and
audio.
said, "This is so stupid." I already like it.
There was this club that was so infamous in
Mhm.
comedy. Even Jay Leno has mentioned this room. It's
Yeah.
in Idaho Falls, Idaho,
Mhm.
and it was in this. I think it was called the Pepper Tree Inn, and it was one of those old thing. It was built in the 70s, so it was had the the kind of U-shaped hotel, and then there was like this funky weird hallway,
Mhm.
and then this sort of half round weird big building for big events.
Oh yeah.
And it was like at some point in time it was like they were going to have this grand ballroom, and then they thought, nah, never mind, let's convert it into 3 different rooms, so it's just
like
awkward.
function rooms.
It's like it
yeah.
just makes none of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
And there's just bar, and then they have live comedy there. But here's the deal: they do the live comedy show from at 8:00.
Yeah.
It goes to it starts at 8 and it goes to 9:30.
Yep.
Then they have live dancing at 10.
Okay.
Okay. Here's the kicker. Is that all the it's Idaho Falls, so there's not a lot going on.
Right. That's a big night out.
Yes.
Comedy and dancing in
Yes.
one night. Yeah.
Well, it's the only real dance hall in the area.
Yep.
And so here's the deal. They start the show at 8. The first guy goes on. It's a 2-man show. You got an opener does 30, and then the headliner does an hour. So the opener goes up there. He does his half hour. The only people there are there for comedy.
Right.
So that guy has a great time.
I know exactly
He
where
has
this
a
is
great
going.
show. There's 40 people. They're sitting they're sitting
But
around
they
the
are
dance
there
floor.
for comedy.
They are there for comedy, and it is you're just you're sitting as a comic. You're
This
headlining.
crowd's going to be
you're saying,
great.
Oh
yeah.
And then you're looking at the back of the room, and all of a sudden this room's starting to fill up.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like,
even better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I got more people coming
Oh
in.
yeah. I got 40 people right sitting down here, and I got another 100 people just walking through the door right now.
I'm gonna blow this place up.
Here
I
we
know
go.
where this is going.
Here we go. So the headline. So he goes up there and he does his 30 minutes. It's well received. He's a very funny gentleman. Everything's going well. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rodney Norman. All right. So I get up there and I start telling my jokes, and I'm not even halfway through my first line, and this dude comes walking up and looks at me and stares at me, looks at me and goes, "Hey, where's the bathrooms at?"
Because he's been pre-gaming before the dance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I think they're back over there where you came in. Well, that's stupid. Yeah, I agree. All right. So what's going on here? What are you guys doing?
He's having a conversation.
Completely oblivious to the fact there's a show going on. Right.
Okay.
What do you got going on here?
I go, well, we're going to start a comedy show here in a few minutes. Oh, yeah. Are they funny? I don't know. I've never heard of them. You go, oh, okay. Okay.
Well, meanwhile, you're literally on stage, starting your jokes.
But the stage area is the dance floor.
Right. So he walks through the
So
dance
he
floor.
walks. So then he leaves, and I'm just going, okay. And meanwhile, this is going on. Everybody's just kind of like, what the
The
hell?
40 people who were there
Why
for
is this-
comedy going,
Yeah.
what the fuck
So
is going on?
So he finally leaves. Well, as and as it's getting closer, everybody's starting to come in to the back of the room, get ready for dancing. And they're all talking, and it's getting louder
Yep.
and louder and louder to the point nobody can hear anything you're saying.
Yep.
And then they're yelling and screaming at each other because
Ordering drinks and
they've been drinking since noon. 'cause
Right.
It's Idaho Falls. What else? You
Yeah,
gonna
what
do?
else is there to do?
And
right.
it just
but drink and
turns into
dance.
this just weirdness for an hour, and
Yeah.
every punchline you you come up with.
They didn't hear the setup.
They didn't hear the setup, and then they would yell out at you,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, do you know, have you heard of Richard Pryor?"
Not even anything you could do
right,
something with.
Right. How do you work with that?
When are you guys going to be done? Can we start early? And they're just yelling and screaming stuff, incoherent nonsense, to the point where you're standing there going, I don't know why I'm bothering.
How do I do this?
Here.
Yeah.
But the bartender's still looking and going, you still got 20 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, and it was just I did that show 3 times.
Oh, you went back.
And it got worse every single time. It was just
you're like
constantly just people walking in front of you.
I got one question. You're on the phone with the booker and you're like, all right, maybe it'll be better this time.
Comics, you go, I got it.
I got it. Yeah. This
I'm
time
funnier than
this
I was
time I'll
last
get
time.
it. Yeah.
No, but the real question is, who books that?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Is it still going on?
It was booked by David Tribble. Are you familiar with David Tribble?
No. Is he one of those Midwest bookers?
He was. Yeah, he used to have. It was called the Tribble Run, and it was. It was funny because he was one of those guys that was. He was so. I love this dude, but it was always weird because he's like, okay, Rodney. So what you gonna do? You're going. Okay, your first night you're going to be Billings. You're going to go there. You're going to open. You're just going to. You only have. It's only an hour-long show, so you're doing 15 minutes. The headliner's doing 45.
Yep.
You're going to pick up $200. 125 that you give to him. The other $75 is not yours. You're going to give that to the doorman at the show over in Helen.
Oh my God.
And then then when
it was
you
like
get there,
a domino effect.
Yeah, and so you're going to get that $75 to that guy because I owe him $75. But you're going to get $350 that night at the end of the show. And you're going to get it from her name is Christy, and don't get the money from anybody else because Christy's the only one who's authorized to pay you. So you're going to get that money. You're going to get $350. You're going to give 50 of that to the headliner. Then you're going to get 300. But it's not all yours because you got to send 100 of that to me. And it's like,
oh yeah, oh my God!
So
by the end of the week, what did you end up with?
So by the end
$75.
Yeah. That was $75 and a chicken.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
and again, we ask, who books that?
Yeah.
This was late-ish into we were kind of coming back from the pandemic, I would say, and it was an outdoor show. It was an outdoor show at a college at night in the winter. So it was supposed to be indoors. It was not. We get there, it's outdoors, right? It's like a 9:00 show. There's a skate rink on the side where people are ice skating, and then there's one food truck that exists, and then there's just a bunch of chairs out in the open, right? A bunch of chairs out in the open. And those little fire heaters they had?
Yep.
They had 2 of those. They had 2 of those, which don't work because it was 20 degrees outside. And it was just the worst. The mic also didn't work. The mic didn't work for most of the show. It was the worst setup thing ever. I didn't expect people to even show up, but the people showed up for hot chocolate, and some of them sat down. And Will Noonan was supposed to close that show, which he did. He did 3 minutes and just left. He just bounced. Granted, he actually did very well in his 3 minutes. I opened the show, and I opened the show when there was 5 people, not 15 people. Jonathan Tilson was on the show too, and he was like, I could tell by the way you guys are sitting, you just want to go home. You're all like this. So it's the worst environment for comedy. At night, outdoors, in the cold. These were freshmen as well. You know what I mean? Freshman college students starting college for the first time in a pandemic. Everything was just atrocious. You can't laugh when your body is not.
It's hypothermic.
Exactly. It doesn't work. So.
One just popped into my mind. My memory's not that great, but I think I might have recently been talking about this to a friend of mine just because he lives in the area that it took place. It was and it's one of those gigs. Again, it was a Christmas season, right? Yep. Private residence, like a $1,000 gig, $1,200, whatever it was, right? You're like, yeah, it was over in Scarborough, Maine. I can't remember a year. It's a fucking decade ago. What more than that? But But anyway, it doesn't matter the time. But so I get over to the house. It's this, obviously really, really nice house. I drive up there and I go in and, and to say, hey, I'm George. The guy comes over. He's like, hey, George, and we'll have you go up. And, it's, I don't know, there's probably like 100 people there or so, and he goes, yeah, and you'll be standing over here. We don't have a stage, but they had this big fucking fireplace. I mean, stone fireplace. On the the size of this fucking wall, right? And then the mantle. Yeah,
Citizen Kane.
Yeah, and everything. I'm not shitting you. Yeah, I'm like, this is okay. That's cool because there's like a fucking, a smoldering fire. There's some flames. Well, I'm like, this ain't bad. These fucking guys. I'm not shitting you. Fucking, so I go over and grab a bite to eat, whatever, you know what I mean? I got a half hour to kill or whatever. Somebody goes and throws a couple of fucking, trees on logs. I mean, they weren't logs. The fucking things are like this because it's so big, right? So they throw the fucking trees on there, and then the guy's like, all right, we got George Ham. And I go up there. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's like an oven.
It's unfucking believable. I'm like, whatever. Then, not to mention, the guy's wife starts fucking yelling out fucking shit, right? And then I never forget it because she goes, do pork in the bean. Do the pork in the bean. And I'm like, fucking, I don't do pork in the bean. She goes, yes, you do. And I'm like, that's fucking Bob Marley's joke. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't want to do I'm not doing somebody else's joke. You know what I mean? So I'm like, but in my mind, I'm like, I might just do it to shut this fucking lady up. You know what I mean? I'm fucking sweating. I'm about to fucking pass out. She's fucking hilarious. Like, yeah, you're a fucking asshole. Do pork in the bean. I'm like, this is unfucking believable. You know what I mean? So finally somebody fucking took her. I remember took her. I did whatever, it was uneventful ending. And I was like, fucking, oh my God. My buddy to my witness, I remember because I didn't have a car at the time. That's why my friend Mike Donahue fucking come and pick me up and drove me out there. He was witnessing in the back. So I got a witness, you know what I mean? And he's like, dude, fucking, you know what I mean? I got so much more respect for you because I don't know how the fuck you did that. I would have dragged her and threw her in the fucking fire. You know what I mean?
Your battle story, your one-up story.
I don't even have to think.
This is what usually happens. Chomping at the bit. He's like, I got it.
I don't even have to think about it. Now, I'm not professing that this is a top 3 story you've ever heard. It might not even be a top 20 ever.
But it will fit into one of the categories that we've identified.
All right.
I will tell you about that after.
So I was maybe 3 years into LA, and I had just started getting the headline nod at shitty rooms.
Yep.
Okay. So I get a call from this guy, don't remember his name, who booked the most out of the way, middle of nowhere gigs, and he was offering me headliner status. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I had to fly to New Mexico from LA. And then I was literally driving around the entire state. My opener's name, I had to pick up once I got to the airport and rented a car. His name was Alpine Bob. Now, apparently in the state of New Mexico, he was a quote unquote local legend.
Yes.
Right. But he wasn't headlining.
Yeah.
And he was like this, like 55. Now, I'm in my 20s.
Yeah.
And there's like 55, 57-year-old dude, raging alcohol.
Of course.
So we meet the week of gigs with him was hell enough. It was really bad. The last night we were doing a gig, I'll never forget. Well, I don't remember the name of the town in New Mexico. All I know is that it was about a 6-hour drive to the Albuquerque airport, and I had a 6 a.m. flight, so we could not go to bed. We had to do the show and then drive. Well, that was the night his ex-wife decided to show up to the show. He was already drinking on stage. Now, this in a typical shitty show, you know how every middle of nowhere town has a bar that's for some reason world famous?
Oh, yeah,
It says world famous.
Yeah, world famous.
Nobody outside of fucking that zip code ever heard of it. So I'm at this place called, the Steaming Toad or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like,
World
some
famous
stupid,
Steaming
the
Toad.
world famous Steaming Toad.
Because they have a T-shirt.
Yeah. in the shittiest town in New Mexico, right? You see desert as far as the eye can see, but it's world famous.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's in the bar, and it was actually a good sized crowd. Like the show itself should have gone off well,
Yeah.
but he got drunk on stage. He was doing shots. He was, by the end of his set, he was slurring. Okay, and it's a tag team show, so he has to bring me up. He butchers everything about my intro, my name, everything.
Yeah.
He called me Dan Brown, right? So fine. So I get on, I do my set. After I go, so it was one of those, and you know this, in between the coasts, a lot of these places, a big bar, nightclub attached to a little motel.
Yes,
right.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
So that's what it was. So I finish the show, I shake hands and kiss babies, and I walk outside to the hotel room, and I go to knock on his door, and I hear him banging his ex-wife. All right. So I was like, fuck it. Okay. You know what? We have a few hours wiggle room. I'll go in my room, take a shower, kind of get cleaned up, and wake myself up for the big
head
drive.
out, right.
And I already know that I'm probably going to be stuck driving the whole way, even though we talked about splitting it, because he was stumbling drunk on stage.
Right.
Right. And now he's banging his ex-wife, you know, whatever, probably just fucking quit the Aryan Nation. Who knows? Whatever. They were just the most disgusting white trash, fucking awful. And so now it's getting kind of close to crunch time.
Yep.
You know, it's like midnight. My flight's at 6:45, you know. So I'm banging on his door. He had passed out with her in the bed.
I would have left him.
So, well, I couldn't because I forgot why. Well, it was actually in my contract that he lived in Albuquerque, so I had to drive him to Albuquerque. So, and then he was going to, whatever, help me return the car, whatever. So this kind of doesn't fall in the category of hell gig because the gig was horrible,
okay. Yeah, but everything around it.
So I finally get him out of his room, stumbling drunk. He has a brand new bottle of Jack Daniels and he can barely fucking talk. And he goes, "You're driving." I go, "Yeah, I know.
Can we just go?" I'd like to live.
So we're in this piece of shit rental. We're on the highway. This is before internet, before cell phones.
Right.
Pitch black outside, driving through the desert of New Mexico, trying to get to fucking civilization. There's nothing. No fast food, no gas stations.
Yeah, it's just
nothing.
Straight
it's
road through
desert,
the desert,
dude.
right.
And we're using I'm using maps to get to the airport.
AAA
so
maps.
every hour and a half, I'm pulling over just to make sure I'm, not driving to
Was I
Mexico
supposed
by
to?
accident.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Like, yeah.
Welcome to Tijuana.
Exactly. Like,
Buenos dias, senor.
Yeah. I'm being like super cautious not to get off track. So about 2 hours into the drive, he cracks open the new bottle of Jack and he's pounding.
So there goes your drive share.
Oh, yeah. Now, because he's super drunk and apparently feels comfortable, he starts talking about how he was uncomfortable with me being younger than him and headlining. He doesn't really like Jews. He's not sure what happened in his life. Why the fuck was his ex-wife contacting him even though he just fucked the shit out of her?
Right, yeah.
So he's unpacking every emotional fucking thought he's ever had in his life. And he knew I was Jewish. And somehow every third sentence and fucking Jews. I'm like, I'm right here. This isn't in your head. I'm fucking right here.
Right.
And now,
Oh
and
my
again,
God.
dude, I'm in my 20s. I'm in good shape. He's an old guy. I don't want to clock him. I don't want to get in a fight with this guy.
Right.
I'm just putting up with it. So I had the idea of going, I bet you're too old to even chug anymore. You probably can't even chug. I'm thinking I want to get him to pass the fuck out.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't fucking tell me how to drink. And he chug. 10 minutes later, fucking out. He got about halfway down the bottle, full bottle of Jack. He's out like a light. I did the last 3 hours by myself. Sun's coming up in the desert. It was actually really pretty.
Yeah.
But he's snoring and mumbling in his sleep. Even in his sleep, Jews, Jews, just fucking awful. And he's burping and farting in his sleep.
He didn't throw up though.
Didn't throw up.
I was
That's
thinking he was
impressive.
going to
That's what I was
wake up
waiting
and
for.
spew all
The
over
whole
place.
ride was just wretched. It smelled like a bar at 4 a.m. The whole car was gross. So we finally made it to the airport. I have a half hour to catch my flight.
Oh my
We're
God.
in the drop off.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have time now to return the car. He had to do it.
He had to do it.
I'm shaking him, pushing him. I slapped his face. He wouldn't wake the fuck up. So I said, screw it. I left.
I don't blame you.
I left him in the drop-off area of an airport with the car running.
Did you take a hose from the tailpipe and put it into the window?
Dude, he had an open bottle of Jack in his lap. in his fucking lap,
passed out
in a running car, passed out drunk in the airport.
Imagine he wakes up. He's like, "How the hell did I get here? Holy shit, I'm a
Yeah.
good driver."
If Alpine Bob's nickname that night didn't change to Jailbird Bob,
Right?
I don't know what happened. But I
Oh my
never heard from
God.
him again.
No.
Never heard from him again. And that was by far the worst night of comedy I've ever had
The
in my
booker
life.
never got back to you and said, "What the fuck happened with Bob?"
I never got booked again. But you know what?
Well, now we know why.
Now you know why.
I have like probably 30 of them that are just like.
Oh,
well,
of course. If you've been doing comedy more than 6 months, you have at least 5.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I'm talking like you're just like, I don't believe this happened. But yeah, I have a ton of them. But I'm like, I don't know, I'm a little bit stalling on the spot. But I do remember this one. I got asked to book a show at a Chinese restaurant in Framingham.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I put together the lineup, and it was me, Phoebe Engel, and Dan Smith.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. We just had Dan Smith on a couple of weeks.
He's great.
No.
He's awesome.
Awesome guy.
He's very polished, but he's also funny in the moment.
Yeah.
So it was me, Phoebe, and Dan Smith at this Chinese food restaurant. And I would say the crowd was made up of 60 Indian people, like,
Yeah, Southeast Asian Indian, like
yeah,
real Indian.
I don't say dots, not feathers anymore because that's a
Right, yeah. I was
say,
thinking it, but I wasn't going
tech
to say
support.
it. Yeah.
Tech support, not casinos.
Yeah,
But it was made up of like 60 Indian people that were like 60 years old and up, and then like 4 people that were in their 20s, and that was the whole audience. And let's agree, I'm
Yeah.
not going to resonate with 50-something-year-old Indian people.
Right,
I'm just
right.
not.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. You're not going to get hired for the IT professionals seminar.
You're right.
Yeah, but they're all retired IT professionals.
Right,
He said
right.
they're older.
So the microphone is awful, like beyond compare awful. The stage was just way too high to the point where it was like we decided it was better to get off the stage.
Off
'cause it
the
looked
stage to
weird.
talk to the audience.
Yeah, so you go down to but now the stage is empty, and I know what happened while I was there, while I was performing, but I think it happened when Phoebe was performing as well. There's one of the Indian like couples brought their children, like young children, like not 12, like
No, like
4,
5 and
3.
6. Yeah.
And they started running around on the stage, like taking their clothes off while I was performing. And I was like, this is just banana. And then it happened with Phoebe as well. And I mean, it was a train wreck. And afterwards, I'm talking to this chick. Like I said, there's probably about 4 people that are like in their 20s.
Right.
And she did legit mean this as a compliment, but she goes, she said, this is what she said to me when she came up. She goes, first off, she's like, I thought it was great. She's like, I loved it. She's like, she's acknowledging how brutal it was for everybody else.
Right.
She goes, but while you were up there, all I could think about is he's so fucking brave. Oh my God. Like, and I was like, I thought about that. Like, she's like, just watching him endure this shit,
The pain and the shit storm that you had to
she's
endure,
like,
right?
You're so brave.
So I don't know if I should tell I'll tell a different story.
You could
then.
tell a couple of
All
them
right.
because we've had
Okay.
people come in with 2 or 3.
Okay. So Dick Doherty books me for the Rolls Royce in Mattapan. Okay. And I've driven by this place for years as a child, going to my grandmother's and just always seeing this Rolls Royce place, never knowing what it is. Well,
Yeah.
it's go to a dance club, nightclub, but
Yeah.
they're going to try comedy. So Dick says, I need you to pick this comedian up. He's dark-skinned comedian at
Yeah.
Nick's and then drive to Mattapan.
Yep.
So I stupidly tell some of the people at that bank that I work at them, because they're always like, you're a
I'm playing
comedian? You're not
Mattapan,
funny.
yeah.
They don't think you're funny. Well, I'm sitting in a cube.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not doing my act.
Right.
So
you picked the whitest people from the bank to go to
Yeah.
Mattapan, right?
I was the only white person there.
Yeah.
So a few of them come. So I arrive at the place. I'm really intimidated.
Yeah.
The only white person, but I understand how they feel.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So a guy enters with a gun, probably 10, 15 minutes before the show, and he comes running through the club with a gun, and they all hit the deck, which I just found out a month ago why I didn't even realize why you would hit the deck. It's because if he's shooting, you want to be low.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's what you do. So, I don't. This is like a
Where'd you grow
drill
up?
for them.
Where did you grow up?
In Dedham.
Oh, in Dedham. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Not a lot of people running through places
Yeah.
and with guns in Dedham.
So as he's running through, he knows the cops are coming behind him,
Right.
20 yards behind him. So he shuts the lights off. So
Oh
it's
my
now, so now it's
God.
dark and everyone's on the thing
On the floor,
I
and
hear
he's waiting for the cops to come in.
Yeah, so you hear the cop come in. Where'd he go? And some people went into a closet. So I
Yep.
thought, well, that sounds safe. I'll
Yeah.
go in the closet. So I start to pull the door open. I hear, "We're in here, motherfucker." I'm like,
You ain't getting
so I
in.
just lay down on the floor.
Yep.
The lights come back on. The owner comes over. Sorry about that. My heart's like this.
Yeah, right.
And he says, "You ready to go?" And I was like, ready to go? Like, I thought the night was over. You're going to just
Yeah,
close the
right.
bar and everyone's going to go home?
Exactly.
No, in Mattapan they call that Tuesday.
Yeah.
That guy was the opening act.
Right. Like, we just survived almost getting shot. Let's just go home.
Let's just go home.
No, we're doing
and
the
hug
show.
our kids. Yeah, right.
So I said, give me a couple minutes.
Yeah, I need to
You know?
collect my
Typical
thoughts.
booker. You're not getting paid unless you go on.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I go on stage. My opening joke back then was, I'm half Irish, half Italian. I eat good meals, shit-faced.
Yep.
And I say I'm half Italian, half Irish, and a guy yells, "We're black, motherfucker."
Yeah.
The crowd laughs at that.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
So now I'm in a hole.
Yeah.
I try another joke. Nothing. I try a third joke. Nothing. Then I'm hearing the little cat calls. So I probably did about 6 minutes. And my banker friends are here, and they're probably thinking, "We told you you're not funny. We tell you this every day in work."
Right.
I bring him on. He's a hero.
Yeah, of course.
He kills.
Yeah. Yep.
I have to stay because I have to collect the money and leave with it.
Ugh.
Yeah. So my banker friend walks me to my car with a sack of money. This is like the worst night of my life.
Right.
I actually just went back there. It's a different name now.
Yeah.
A guy named Wendell something.
Yeah.
Booked some Tuesday night Tickle Me Tuesdays
Yeah.
at that club.
At that club.
And I was like, I told him the story. I said, I'm back here.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I ate it again.
Did you really?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't the
Oh,
only
my
one.
God.
Everyone on the show. It was a
Everyone
Tuesday
ate
night.
it.
There was only about 15 people.
Right,
And they
right.
weren't even seated together. It was scattered all over the
Scattered
place.
all over.
People were eating burgers and fries, and they didn't care about the con. But it was
Right.
like, this room is just,
It's cursed.
yeah,
It's just
it's
cursed.
cursed. I want to do it again.
Yeah.
The third time
Yeah.
I'll get some laughs. I mean, I got a couple chuckles, but it
Right.
just didn't work. The other story is I'm on the Vineyard, and I'm with Kevin Knox and Spike Tobin.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we're working for, I think, Pretty Polly. They used to book college.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
Pretty Polly?
Pretty Polly. Yeah.
So we're at this little cabin, and we're supposed to call the club, and he's supposed to come out and pick us up, or we can take a cab over. But Noxie's in rare form with drinking. I'm not gonna worry about it.
Don't worry about
He
it.
kept saying, "There's no show without us. They can't do the show without us. Drink, oh, woo, come on, Paul." So he's doing his thing,
Come
and all
on,
of a sudden,
Paul. How's your cock? How's your cock?
Spike and I are a little bit more
Yeah.
responsible at
Right,
this point.
right.
He's got a few in him. So like, Kevin, we probably should. Like, we don't even know
Let's
how
head
far it is.
over,
It's like
right.
30 minutes. I guess should we call him? Hey, Paul, there's no show without us. Get no show. What are we gonna do? So I call the place, and the guy's pissed. He's like, "Where are you?" I said, "Well, we're back at the place." Well, the show's in 30 minutes. We're 20 minutes to get you, and we're gonna be
Right.
I'm like, "Well, can you come get us?"
Right. We
So
were
the guy
waiting for
comes,
you. Yeah.
Gets us, drives us over. Noxie's legless. Spike, I think, doesn't drink at the time.
No.
I've got a few in me. And we make this pact that we're all going to tell at least one lobster joke. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
A lobster, just take it.
Oh, somewhere there's
come
a
up with it on the
lobster in
fly,
it.
and
Yeah.
it's got to be. So the show starts, and Spike does some crazy lobster bit.
Yep.
I have that Buckner bit.
Yeah, the Buckner bit,
Yeah.
right, with
Where
the
Buckner
lobster
pisses
hanging
in
out
the
of his
ball.
ass.
Well, that's where the lobster. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
he's running around. He used to just run around the field and say, "I love cornflakes."
Yep.
Well, now he's got a lobster up his ass, and he goes home and tells and says that the guy's got crabs the size of house pets. That's where that came from.
That's where it came from.
So
was
that
gig?
night, I was like, I got a whole new,
Yeah,
addition to the bit.
I got a new
This
bit.
worked good. Noxie goes up and does about 9 minutes
On lobsters?
On lobsters?
No, just 9 minutes.
Oh,
That's
9
a couple of repeat jokes. Spike and I are fucking dying. He's supposed to do 45.
45
he
minutes.
does like 9 minutes. he comes off, and he kind of looks at us, and then he realizes, oh, and he goes back up, and he goes up to the mic, and he goes, "Fucking lobsters."
That was it. He wasn't even concerned that he only did 9 minutes. He was concerned he forgot the lobster joke.
And the lobster joke was all it was fucking lobsters. So imagine the crowd thinking like, "Oh, that was oh, he's back," and then all they hear is fucking lobster, and then he's back off,
and then he gets back off. Oh my
So,
God!
The culmination of the story is on Monday. I get a phone call. Like, what happened at the show? And I'm like, what do you mean? And I said, what do you mean? Like, I thought it went pretty good. Well, they said that you guys didn't do enough time. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I did my set.
I did my
was
set.
outside,
Spike did his. Yeah.
Someone was smoking us. I was talking to them. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So I called Kev. I said, Kev, Pretty Paulie's a little pissed off. Like, oh, what do you mean? We did some time. You did some time. I did some time. It's fine. Don't worry about his outlook on everything is
Oh
fucking
my God.
great.
He was
Don't worry
always.
about it. We all
yeah.
did some time.
He was always the most positive fucking guy in the room. I loved him. Oh God.
Oh, he
The
was
best.
great.
He was the best.
Oh, and then the
It's
next
so funny.
morning, I'm sound asleep, and his foot kicks my door in. Like all you see is the door, and you see this foot.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go.
Let's go. It's fucking time to go.
Like time to drink.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's drink. Come on, let's
absolutely,
go.
There's so many, man. There's so many. But
Listen, when
This
I
is-
was a
this
guest,
is your one-up story.
When I was a guest on this podcast before I became a co-host, I had 3 stories that I ended. I go, can I tell 3?
We've
And he's
had
like,
people
yeah.
tell 1. We had one person tell like 5.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so whatever you want to tell.
So honestly, Daisy Buchanan's was a very helpful bad moment that really stuck with my whole career because I learned a great lesson there. I went out. Everybody knew Daisy Buchanan's was like, you felt cool to be allowed to go perform at this gig, being as green as I was.
Yep.
I was scared, but still naive not to know what I was getting into. I remember perfectly that I said to a gentleman who had these little glasses, I said, what do you do for a living? And he said, I'm a writer. And I remember going into an improv about him typing and telling a story. And now I'm doing well. I'm feeling incredible. I can't believe I'm doing this in front of this audience that's a tough show. And his wife, they were a very attractive couple. This is important because I keep this lesson. And she said, excuse me. She was really smart, man. She goes, excuse me. And I stopped. And she looked back at the audience. I'll never forget. She went, didn't we all come here to hear written material? Like she looked back at everyone. Like she built a group of yeah. And she was really, really attractive and well. And I, at that moment, looked at her like, I need to be respectful. This is a woman. This is a guy's wife. And she went, she took her time like this evil person. She went, she goes, did you bring, and once again, look back at her friends, did you bring anything for us written? And I went, oh. Fuck. She crushed me. I couldn't, I remember, I looked over and I went, I remember I pointed at this older woman. I went, you were enjoying me, weren't you?
Try to find that one ally in the audience.
And I walked off, and all the other comics looked away because they didn't want to look at me. And I'll tell you what she taught me. No one is anyone in my audience ever again. I redo that moment so much in my head. I would have consumed her. She has made me a killer in the crowd.
Yeah.
And the pain still lingers.
Oh, yeah.
Watching her develop a following to hate this new comedian with a dream. Let's kill Butch Bradley before his dream gets any more. Kill Butch.
Because she did exactly what Ace taught me when I first started. He goes, if you have a heckler, get the crowd on your side before you go after them.
She got the crowd on her
side before she went after
Dude,
you.
and here's probably the most painful part. That ride home, How many things did you think of that you wish you said?
Oh, he's still
Dude,
thinking of
I
it
was
right
in the
now.
car.
Have a list. Yeah, you want to find her address and have a list of all the things, the comebacks that you thought of, right?
I was in the car with 3 comedians who all did well. I had to sit. No one would talk to me. They acted like I had a contagious disease.
It's
you know.
It's like that episode of Seinfeld where George flies all the way back to tell the guy, "Oh yeah, well I had sex with your wife."
Exactly.
Daisy Buchanan. That woman has made me a great comic.
But what was your
Probably first time doing Jake and Johnny's Lounge on
Okay.
Federal Hill. I hadn't been doing comedy very long. It's a great room once you're in. They have to
know you first.
Yeah, they're gonna break you down before they think you're funny. Like, so the first time I went there, no one was laughing.
Yeah.
No one was and there was like decent audience there. The room felt full because it's so small and intimate.
Right.
So it felt full, but just weird stuff like the phone. Someone called to order a pizza
In the
while I was
middle of
on.
it?
Yeah. The bartender, one of my favorite bartenders, she dropped like a whole tray of glasses. This
In
is
the
in
middle of the
7
set.
minutes, yeah.
Oh
And then
my God.
to tie it off at the end, not only did I follow a magician who crushed.
Was it the Prince of Mystery?
No.
Oh, no?
No, it was some other guy. I've only seen him twice, and he totally crushed, and it was tons of fun. And he pulled me up on the stage to help with his act. And then I walked off stage, turned around, and went up to do my set.
So they thought he was an audience member trying out comedy or something.
Yeah, and then so it created a weird energy. They didn't like my jokes. She dropped the cups, the phone rang, and then some lady walked in with her dog. And just like right in front of the stage
Of
too, and I
course.
was like, "This is just so weird." That was one of the times where I was like,
What am I
"Maybe not."
doing? Yeah,
maybe not.
yeah.
That was
We worked
in
out
7
on the
minutes.
recipe.
All
7 minutes.
All of that
4
happened.
those things
Yeah,
happened.
all happened in 7 minutes.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here you go. Here's mine.
All right.
I'm on tour with Sally Kellerman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. She was Hot Lips. On
Just passed
MASH.
away last year. Yeah.
Again, just a
Sweetheart, right?
wonderful lady, just a sweetie pie. She sings, she dances, she got a piano player. I'm going up, and we're touring Florida.
Mhm.
We do Brooksville up here near where I'm at now. Then we do Orlando. We do Daytona Beach, smashing it every night. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday, we're at Century Village in North Miami Beach. And if you don't know what that is, it's these catacombs of death that they have. They're these old brown condominiums, 1 and 2 bedrooms,
Mm-hmm.
that people from Baltimore and Trenton and all these.
That's their vacation homes.
That's where they retire to.
Oh, even better.
Okay.
Even better.
And what they do is they sell it to some wobbly old bastard, and he lives there till he dies, and they come scoop the body out. Then they
Sell
douse
it the
all
next
down,
day.
Sell it to some other miserable old bastard from, just like the pissed off Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania club,
Yep.
Anyway, all these jerk offs from Philadelphia. Anyway, and they all live there together. And
Right.
part of their living there, part of their HOA fee is entertainment.
Entertainment.
Okay, and they have this old theater there, beautiful old theater, with that real skyrocketing seating, where
Yep.
they're
Oh, yeah.
really looking down on you. And I'm opening for Sally. She looks beautiful. The piano player's out there, and I'm nervous, dude. And so the stage manager comes up to me and goes, "Hey, look," he goes, "I just want you to know the comedians don't usually do that good here. He goes, but the one thing you got to do your time. You can't go short. You got to do 30 minutes, or," he goes, I won't pay you. How about that? He goes, "Just do your time." He goes, "Even if you're dying, it doesn't matter." He goes,
You just got to do the time. Yeah.
He said David
because in their
Brenner had a
HOA
hard time.
fees, it says a 30-minute fucking show. No matter how bad it is, it's got to be 30 minutes.
And they don't
Yeah.
care 5 minutes in if you're dying, you
No.
got to do another 25.
Yeah. Oh my God.
David Brenner had trouble there. Okay?
Oh my God.
Anyway,
Holy shit.
Just these old miserable
Yeah.
East Coast Jews and anyway, I'm up there and so they bring me out and I'm sweating, man. I'm telling the back of my ass, I'm just sweating. And I go out there and I hit them with my best, like jokey jokes and street jokes, and I just want to make them laugh,
Yeah.
I'm not making art. I'm not making a
Right.
statement. I just want to plow. So I'm out there, boom, 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 and a little chuckle here, a little chuckle there, a little chuckle here. Somebody blowing their nose over here, somebody packing cigarettes over there. Anyway, I go down. So I look down at there's a clock on stage. So I look down at it. I'm thinking, I'm surely this. I did 20. I'll just dick joke my way to the end. I've done 7 minutes. I've done.
Isn't it the worst feeling?
And I'm just digging for fire, man. I'm just doing anything I can do.
Yeah.
So anyway, about the 17, 18 minute mark of my show, this old guy gets up from like the 10th row back, and he pops his walker out, just then comes down the stairs, right? And he walks down the stairs, and he comes and he stands right in front of me. Okay, I'm on stage. This crowd's like this, and this guy's right here. And I walk away. I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "I'm 87 years old. I don't have time for this shit." He turned around and walked. Click, 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 click.
He walked back. He came all the way down just to say that, and then walked back.
He came down to insult me, and then walked out.
Oh, that's awesome.
He got a bigger laugh than me.
Of course.
Oh my God. And dude, it's like I'm driving. I called the booker, who was a buddy of mine. And I said, Alan, I says, there's only 2 bullets left. There's only 2 left. I'm giving it another spin.
The other show that stands out when I try to not get into the whole mob story, I did a show at Comics. It was a 10 p.m. Thursday night showcase.
How could that go wrong?
Oh, we set up
where you
for
have to
success there.
You have to beg and plead for 4 people to show up.
Yeah,
for
show up.
or
Yeah,
you don't
right.
get to go on stage.
Yeah.
So I am the final person on that cast of 10, and the host is like, "We finally made it."
Set you up for success
for the last
this
comedian
fucking
of the
asshole
night.
is here,
Yeah.
finally.
Try to keep up your energy.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
Here's Doug, and then a long pause because he almost forgot.
Of course.
We met. So then I walk out. There's probably 60 or 70 people in that room. And all I get is one guy in the front row goes, "Yay."
Oh,
one clap.
Oh.
Dead silence.
Oh my
Mind
God.
you, I have 4 people in that audience for me.
And they didn't even
And
yell.
they didn't even clap for you.
It was another guy
And
going,
2 of
"Yay."
them were my mom and dad.
They denied him like Jesus before the cock crows.
Nothing.
They're like, pretend you don't know. Pretend you
Yeah.
don't know.
I know nothing.
So I'm just looking at this audience of people where by 10 p.m. at night at Mohegan, they have made so many bad decisions.
Oh,
that
of course.
I'm the best
And you're the
option they
last
have.
one. Yeah, right.
I'm the last
They're there
one.
because they got comped because they
That's
lost
it.
so much money in
Yeah,
machines.
exactly.
All you had was $10 left, and then you blew it on me. They were the best thing I did was I'm done.
And then you got to
And
clap.
that was the end, and they're like, "We made it." It was like
Oh my
dragging
God.
someone through the Boston Marathon.
I think I'll win this one.
Okay.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah.
Right before I moved to LA, I was willing to take any amount of money any gig for any amount of money.
Yep.
You guys ever hear of Spooky World?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Spooky
Gotcha.
World. Yes.
Foxborough,
Okay.
right?
No, it was up in Clinton, Mass, or something
I
like
don't know
that.
where it is now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was in Berlin, Mass.
Berlin,
Oh, yeah.
Mass.
Yeah.
That was
It's
it.
moved to a few different
Yeah.
locations.
But no, the original one was in Berlin. Yeah.
And this was the first year, and the guy who owned it hired me to do stand up for the crowd as they were waiting for the hayride.
Oh my God.
All right. We might have a winner.
It's to this day when Robbie Prince and I are talking, I'll say like, "Man, I was wishing I was back at Spooky World." But it was. I've never heard any story that can compare to it. Like it was, and it was hours. It was every night for a month.
Oh my God!
Or from I think 7 to 11. Where I would alternate with the karaoke guy. Like he'd do 45, I'd do 45 over and over again.
Oh my God.
It's October in Boston. It's like 20 degrees out. These people are not happy.
Right.
You know, there's hundreds of them standing in line in this big roped off square. And I was about 5 feet up. And as I'm doing my thing, I've got all these like idiots down below me handing me their song sheets that they want to sing for karaoke.
Oh.
They had these teenagers dressed like witches going through the crowd, handing out candy to keep everybody like from realizing they're standing in 20-degree weather. So those things are just being chucked at me left and right. Like I'm like trying to work the crowd. So hey, wait for a bit, and they're getting me like every third minute. They're just like with these candy bars. That was just the worst ever. I mean, I had like panic attacks. Like every day, like I'd be looking at the clock, like, oh, I don't have to leave yet. Like, oh.
Well, this happened after the show. Just a kind of a funny story. I was in Alaska. I was there for 3 nights and 6 days, and I was with a comedian named Chuck Booms. And
did you get that 3 nights, 6 days?
I did. I was too busy doing the math in my head, and I got confused.
Ron Mendoza was there too.
Oh, wow.
This limo took us to a bar afterwards, and the limo driver. So this wasn't the gig at all. This was afterwards.
It was after.
The limo
Yeah.
Driver
We've had a few of these.
came in with us and left his limo running. And when we came out, it was gone. So that was
I knew.
memorable.
I knew that was going to be the case.
That's awesome.
Okay, when I first started performing, maybe this was in Newport Beach. When I first started performing, the Iraq War was that night. The Iraq War was starting.
So it was like January of 91 or 92.
So maybe it was the Iran War. I don't know. It was before 91 because I had already gone. I mean, I was still in Boston.
It was still East Coast.
1990 is when the original Iraq
right.
started with George Bush Sr.
Yep.
And so he came on and gave a speech. And then I was performing at a naval base. So it was like...
Oh, it might have been the Newport Naval Base. Yeah.
Oh, the Officers Club in Newport, right over the bridge.
Right.
They used to do events there all the time.
So that was like a hard sell.
Yeah, a little bit. Hey, we're at war. Hey, let me make you laugh.
The U.S. just went to war. So, anybody go to a 7-Eleven today?
So one time I was performing in Florida, Sanibel Island.
Yes.
And they had lost my luggage. And weirdly, it was a carry-on. But no, they lost my luggage and they said they were going to bring it to the hotel, but I was leaving in the morning. So I was like, no, don't bring it to the hotel. Okay. So I'm wearing the clothes that I'm wearing on the plane, but I have no makeup. And there was nothing open. It was like this resort town and everything closed.
Yeah.
So I literally used like powdered donuts on my face.
Seriously?
I swear. And like I had a little melted chocolate and I'm trying to put it under my eye.
I got some Boston cream over here, some cinnamon on this cheek, powdered on this cheek.
I had to get creative, you know.
Anybody got an apple spice?
Hey, are those jimmies on your face?
It's fall. I need some apple spice.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I know I said I have more, but this is the one that sticks with me the most. I was, and I've performed with a megaphone because they didn't have lights or sound. I did
or a
that
microphone.
at a
Oh my God.
I'm like, I'm
A
glad I-
megaphone at a temple. Hold on.
Yeah.
We just got a whole new category.
Yes.
Megaphone at a temple.
We don't have a microphone, but we got a megaphone.
I mean, the weirdness was I was doing 2 shows at temples, and I don't necessarily do temple shows. It just happened like one week, and then the next week, both places had no electricity. And yeah, it was like, well, can you light a menorah?
And put a mirror behind it so it shines on me? Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I thought, thank God I didn't get my hair done because nobody could see it. It didn't. Okay. So, but my weirdest road story is I had just started doing stand-up, and I was invited to perform in New York City at a place called the Paper Moon, which Eddie Brill, who went on to be the talent booker for Letterman.
Letterman,
We had Eddie on a couple of months.
Jimmy Tingle. You did?
Yeah, we had him on a couple of months ago, and Paper Moon became the Boston Comedy Club, right?
Yes. I think so.
Yeah, that's what Eddie had
and
said.
you said Jimmy Tingle
And Jimmy
was on
Tingle,
as
we
well?
had Jimmy Tingle on last year.
Jimmy's a great guy.
Sally Lapidus, who went on to be a huge writer, she was there. Cindy Freeman was there, and Rich Seisler was there. So
love Rich.
Love Rich.
Love Rich.
in peace.
I know,
Yes,
another
he's
guy. Oh.
Sweetheart of a man.
Sweetheart. So I'm coming back on the train, and I'm sitting with Cindy, and Rich is there. The 3 of us are traveling back together. And down the aisle on the train walk Zito and Bean. And Steve says to me, Wendy, do you want to come to the smoking car? Because I was a cigarette smoker at the time, and so was he. So we went into the smoking car. We smoked, and then we sort of fell asleep. And then when we woke up, we started walking back to our car, and we look out. You know how there's like a space between the cars?
Yeah. Yep.
We look out the window, and all we see are tracks. There was no car. We were not attached
Behind
to
you.
other car anymore.
What
Because
happened?
apparently in New Haven, they split. Like
Oh my
one train
God.
goes to New Haven and the other goes to Boston. And Steve goes, "Where's the fucking train?" And
Oh my God. So Seisler and Zito are on the train going to Boston that got rehooked up, and you
And
guys
Cindy.
are going where?
and
And Cindy.
And I don't know what I was thinking, but I didn't have my purse with me.
Because it
My
was
purse
back
was
at the
with
back
Cindy.
car, right?
Yeah. So they think that we just jumped off the train, like got off.
Oh my God.
And so we had no money, no cell phones at the time. So
right.
we had to convince the train people what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And I just remember going back to New Haven, getting on the right train, coming home, and Cindy Freeman had lugged my fucking suitcase.
Your purse, your suitcase,
But-
your donuts for makeup.
Yeah, her makeup case, which was made by Hostess.
Yeah.
So that
my
was
God.
probably my most memorable.
That's awesome. This is the gig that made you say, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. I don't need to keep doing comedy.
This was that for me was Symphony Hall.
Really?
That was
Boston Symphony Hall?
Boston Symphony Hall. I got asked to open for Artie Lang at Boston.
Jesus
Symphony Hall.
Christ, that's fucking awesome.
Doing the
Artie.
the
That wasn't that bad.
Thank you. I've
that
been
was
working on
pretty
that one
good,
too.
actually.
You were on it.
It was during the height of his Stern popularity.
Mhm. Yeah, he was huge
It
then.
was Jim Florentine.
Oh, jeez.
Greg Fitzsimmons and Artie Lang, and they
Greg.
just needed someone
So
to
someone
do
to
some
do
time
5
up
minutes,
front.
yeah.
And I was stupid enough to be cocky enough to think, all right, watch.
I got this.
Watch, hold my beer type of situation, like a big dumbass. So here's
Florentine
there's-
said, "Yeah,
there's-
watch this fucking idiot go up there."
There's so many. I'm gonna try to do this justice. So the other thing is, Symphony Hall, first of all, has a huge backstage because
Yeah. Oh,
it
really?
holds all of
Oh,
the,
yeah.
all the instruments and
Orchestra,
all of the
right.
orchestra. So there was a huge stern party back there. So there's hundreds of hangers on, and everybody's partying.
Right.
And I'm a comic, and it's like, dude,
Yeah, you wanna do some
this is
coke?
this is gonna be
I mean, come
awesome.
on.
I'm taking pictures with everybody. I'm like, this is gonna be. I didn't know enough to know what was about to happen. So I'm like, oh, what, dude?
I got
do
this
this shit. And so I'm like,
This is how you build a story.
I'm thinking, I'm also thinking like, I'm gonna get laid at this.
Of course.
Thing. It's all. So we're standing right by the door, and it's showtime, right? And I'm supposed to do 7 minutes, and then bring up Jim Florentine. That's my gig, right? And I'm like, okay, just say, and they're like, oh no, we have no PA. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, no, you just got to go out there. I'm like, excuse me? And they're like, you ready? And I'm like, fuck no. And they just open the door. And I'm like, there's
And
no
kick you
nothing.
out.
And I come out on stage. Now, the other thing you have to realize about Symphony Hall, the stage is massive.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, 'cause it's meant to hold a fucking orchestra, right.
Yes, thank you guys. So
just to remind you,
so
we
they
practiced that.
kick me out the back door. So now a sold out Symphony Hall.
Now, how many people does it hold?
A couple thousand at least.
Okay.
I think 25,000. I mean
Well,
2,500. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So it's three
So-
tiers.
Sounds
It's a
about
big
right.
crowd.
Yeah,
Three
it's a big
tiers.
theater. Yeah.
So literally they just
stage.
pushed me out this door, and I'm standing there. The microphone is 50 yards away. Right, it is it's the direct back door. So I'm out in the middle of the back of the stage.
You waste
It's
5 minutes
fucking
of your
Circus
set.
delay. Like
Yeah, you
like I'm
waste-
starting. Like you know what I mean? Like they come out, they're like, "What is this fucking asshole?" And so now I got to walk all the way.
Yeah. It takes 5 minutes of your set just to get to the microphone, right?
I got to walk all the way to the stage, right?
With no announcement.
Nothing. No one has any idea who I am, what the fuck I'm doing there. I look like a fucking pussy
Yeah.
because I've got a face that just needs to be punched, which you can't get in this thing. So I get up there, and this is like I was doing shit about like a big wheel. I mean, this is like I was like doing I did not. I thought it was funny, but so I decide what I'm going to do is I set the timer. Because this is back before, I think I had like a watch timer. Remember the watch that vibrated?
Yeah, the Casio watch.
Yeah, the watch that vibrated. And so I set the timer, and I'm like, everybody! And like everybody goes, I'm like, Artie Lang's here, and everybody goes crazy.
Of course.
And then I'm like, this is a sold out show, and everybody goes crazy. And then I go into my first bit, and as like soon as I just don't know how to change the energy correctly, so I start going into my first bit, and somebody immediately yells out, "Where's Artie?" And then somebody else yells out, "Fuck you!" Then, boo! I look 27 seconds. My timer said 27 seconds, and I did 7 minutes with Symphony Hall screaming
at
"fuck
you?
you"
Oh my
at me, like
God.
screaming it. Like hated me. Now here's the other thing. So I bring up Florentine. As soon as Florentine hits the stage, the crowd goes insane.
Because he was big
They
on
love him.
Stern too, right?
So now I'm backstage with this party.
Yeah.
And I'm the big dick in the room. Like everybody knows that I just went out and ate
bombed.
my cock in a mass. We're talking hundreds of people at this party, and I'm just sitting on
And
the.
they watch you eat ass
10 minutes
for
before.
7 minutes.
10 minutes before, I was getting.
Yeah, you're like,
I was-
yeah.
Like I don't know.
I'm going to
do
be
I wanna do a
hosting the show.
threesome? How do I want to play this tonight?
Yeah.
And now I'm.
Do I want
sitting
2
there-
women or 3 women tonight?
I'm sitting there just like the most dejected, and not
Oh,
even
yeah.
people aren't even like you did good. Like
no.
Oh, no.
everybody knows.
They're avoiding you. They're
So
like, oh,
Florentine
shit.
comes off. I walk back out on stage, and the crowd goes insane. They're like, "Fuck this guy! Fuck ah!" Like you can just whole energy. So I bring up Fitzsimmons, and now I can't be backstage. Like,
Yeah,
I
right.
just can't do it. So I just go out and walk. I'm like,
Can
you
I
know
go
what?
cry in my car?
I go out and I walk. To Artie's credit, he actually gave me before the set. They paid me $50.
Yeah.
And he gave me like another $50 or $100. That's the kind of guy he was.
Right,
He is a great guy.
yeah.
So I went all the way third, because I had time, all the way third balcony. So the very farthest away
Way,
you could
way
get
back.
to the
Yeah.
stage. Third balcony all the way back. And I'm not kidding. I just wanted to see what it looked like. So I just came in the room and was just sitting there. And this guy turns around and sees me, and you could see him go, there's that fucking guy. And like, you could see them like, let's fucking get him. And I'm like, oh my God. And I like ran because the guys were going to fucking kill me in the back.
Oh my
Like
God.
the farthest away, they recognized me, and I'm not kidding. They slapped the other guy. He's like, there he is. Let's get him. Let's get him. They hated me.
Wow.
And so I went back on, and I had a camera. Like this is before cell phones that had cameras.
yeah.
So I was so upset at this point. I just was like, you know what, guys? You've been such dicks to me. I want everybody to say fuck you at the count of 3. And I went 1, 2, 3. And I have a picture on stage from Symphony Hall of everybody going, fuck you. And then I look at it and I go, that's no good. I need to take a second picture. And everybody goes, fuck you. And I go, perfect. Got it. And then Artie went on. And after
beautiful.
I stuck around, and after Artie brought me back out, and he said, this motherfucker took shit that like
he didn't deserve.
He didn't deserve,
Yeah.
and like brought me back out, and people were like clapped,
Mhm.
and
Because he gave you cred.
because he gave me some. He was like,
Yeah.
"You guys were
Realized,
such
like-
dicks."
right.
Like,
Artie
love
said
this
we're
show.
dicks.
You know,
Yeah.
he's like, "You love this show so much because you were able to hate that one fucking guy so much," and that was a nice little finish.
Yeah.
But the other
Right.
thing was, so Tom Dustin, Artie comes back and is doing like five shows in 2 days at the Connection or something like
Yeah.
that. And he has Dustin opening up for him.
Yeah.
And so I was like, dude, those crowds are crazy. Just go fucking right into it. And Dustin told me, he's like, so he talked to Artie, who's a super nice guy.
Yep.
And Artie's like, and Dustin was like, so I heard your crowds are kind of crazy. And he goes, well, we've really only had one problem. And that was me.
And we hope you enjoyed that episode.
It was so much fun to listen to. So much fun.
Again, as we said at the beginning of the show, comics love hearing stories of other comics dying on stage. And when it's funny on top of it, it just makes it that much better.
I love listening to our friends because we know
Right,
them.
right.
But when it's someone that I don't,
You don't know as
and
well.
I've gotten to know them throughout the podcast, and I feel like by the end of the podcast that I know them now.
Yeah.
And then you hear their story.
Yeah.
Those always hit me a little differently, and I laugh even harder
Right,
at
I know.
those because they're just so genuine. Comedians, they just they're great storytellers, and you've said it 100 times on this podcast. They're just such good storytellers. So these guys have such a way of weaving these painful stories
Yep.
that
And
make
whether
it
they're-
even funnier.
Whether they're new or not.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. That's what comics do. We're storytellers. So
Exactly.
it is funny to hear these bad stories, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. And as usual, we really appreciate everyone who listened through 2022.
Thank you so much.
We do have a couple of great episodes coming up, as we said at the top of the show. We've got Best of Scottober, as well as the Best of 2022. So we hope you'll tune into those. They will be funny shows as well. Again, we can't thank our listeners enough. We really appreciate, and I noticed that I say that more than anything else, even more than To Your Point. I noticed on every episode, I say, we really appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you listening. But you know what? It's not lip service.
No.
We really do. We love doing this podcast, and we love the fact that when someone comes up to us and says, oh my God, we listen to your podcast and it's so funny and it's so much fun to listen to. I feel like I'm in the room with you guys. So thank you so much for listening. Please, if you enjoy it and you have other friends that enjoy podcasts, especially comedy podcasts, please tell them about us. We'd love to continue to grow our listenership as we have over the past 6 years. We love putting these shows out. So tell a friend. 5-star written review really helps the podcast with
Anywhere you
regards-
listen.
Yeah.
Anywhere you listen, it can
Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts, if you throw up a review, especially 5-star written review, it really helps the podcast with the numbers and with getting seen, so that if someone types in, hey, you know, I've been listening to the same podcast for a while, I want to listen to a new one. If they type in comedy podcasts and there's a lot of written reviews for us, it actually helps other people find us. So again, tell a friend, 5-star written review. Other than that, I can't thank you enough for listening this year.
No, we appreciate you guys so much. Love hearing from you. Glad you've been with us, especially those people that have been with us from the beginning. And welcome to those that have joined us late. The entire catalog of shows is available now wherever you listen to your podcasts. There were some technical issues recently, but now everything should be up, so you can go back as far as day one and listen to every podcast. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
and we are
them all out.
We are in a couple of weeks. We are, as a Christmas gift, we're going to be. We're going to be re-releasing a special episode to both of us. Because I just finished up my run of the play for Frank O'Donnell, and I'm going to be doing a show in January, and we'll talk more about it on future podcasts, but going to be doing a Royal Flush show with Charlie Hall and Frank O'Donnell, and so we would love to kind of re-release that episode for you guys, because it was one of our most downloaded episodes in the beginning, and a lot of people have been asking us about that, and that was one of the ones that wasn't available until recently.
Right,
So
right.
we're going to re-release it just to push it to the top, because it was a great episode. And if you're at all interested in the history of comedy in Boston and Rhode Island, you definitely need to listen to this one.
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't for these two guys, I mean, Ace got his career started with these two guys.
Absolutely.
Rhode Island comedy started because of these two guys. So it was an unbelievable episode. So we want to put that back out there so people can get a chance to listen to it again or for the first time. So please check that out.
So check that out. And other than that,
we will talk to you
next week.